Hey, welcome everyone. Thank you very much for coming. I'm going to inflict my views at numerous points during the evening, but I'll just kind of give an overall context for this initiative, the Remote Pilot Council. I want to say it was my idea. Okay, I'm going to say it was my idea. I think it was a pretty good idea based on the meetings that we've had so far and the turnout that we've got tonight. And why wouldn't it be, right? How many pilots do we have in the room? Remote pilots? Okay, Part 107 certificated, even. Excellent. Put them down if you, put them up if you flew in the military. Excellent. Put them up if you are not a pilot and you have no idea what Part 107 means. That's okay. It's quite literally, we've had that diverse a group come to the previous meetings, and it's part of, I think, what AUVSI is all about. It's about getting folks to network with one another, get a little bit smarter collectively, and at the end of the day, take what we're learning from each other in this very dynamic environment and get more regulations, get permission to fly, start to expand that envelope, and how we do that is going to become a little bit clearer to those of you who haven't had a lot of experience with AUVSI, and maybe even some of you that have, because I'm still, I'll say, relatively new to this gig. But suffice it to say, I love things that fly. Been a pilot, low and slow pilot, and an aircraft owner for 25 years now, and I have my Part 107 certificate. Not a lot of stick time with drones yet, mainly because I sort of tend to spend a lot of time in Class Bravo airspace, and you're not supposed to be flying in there right now. So, one of the things that we've been talking about a lot is training, and how do we train people like me who didn't have any trouble with the exam, but need some more direct experience, and then how do we build that level of professionalism like we have in aviation. So how do we as a community take responsibility for that, and we don't have to have the FAA in our business all the time. There are some things that we need from the FAA. There are some things that we need from our regulators, generally speaking, and that's really where AUVSI focuses its efforts. We plug in at the highest levels of the FAA. I'll be meeting with the administrator again on Thursday morning. Very timely meeting, given what's going on with a new president and new White House staff coming in, a new Secretary of Transportation over him. So it's there's an awful lot going on, but at the end of the day, what this meeting is about is learning from you on the front lines, what your experiences are, what you need, where the gaps are, et cetera, et cetera. So we've been extremely fortunate in this effort to have, Ken, come on up here, to have the FAA directly participating in the meetings. And Ken Kelly has been at, I think, all of our meetings, right, Ken? Almost all of them. And I think it's to me it's for those of you who, like me, when pilots get together, we like to bitch about the FAA, right? FAA has been holding us back, et cetera, et cetera. I want to say that the professionalism that we've been dealing with at the FAA has been really second to none. And I'm a big fan of good governance. I won't inflict my views on that on all of you, but I think we'd all agree as members of the flying public that whatever it is that we're doing out there in the airspace, we want to do it safely. And the FAA is really dedicated to that mission. But more importantly, over the last couple of years, they've really been leaning in on this with very few resources and building the resources that we need to get to not just Part 107, that's just the beginning, but really to the gold, which is a lot of different capabilities that we're going to have to in some ways earn over time. So they were really, the idea for a Remote Pilots Council was kind of floating around in the back of my mind, and then in December, Earl Lawrence, the head of the Unmanned Systems Office, called and said, we've got a lot of waiver applications coming into the FAA, they're incomplete, we can't approve them, So we want to do a webinar. AUVSI is good at these webinars. We want to do a webinar like we did when we released Part 107 or when we announced it and implemented it to get the word out. You know, here's how you get your waiver approved. And that kind of got me thinking, well, gee whiz, that needs to be a two-way flow back and forth, right? The FAA has to give information out, right? But then sometimes the FAA doesn't get its own word all the way out to some of the field offices. So we need to be able to get feedback back to the FAA as well on how that's going. So I think it was really a short leap from there to, hey, let's do these meetings on, let's get out there and let's talk to pilots. And Earl was the first one to say, I'd like to participate in that. So Ken Kelly has been with us on each one of these, and I think it's been extremely valuable. Not only that, but he's been reaching out in some instances to some of his colleagues that run the airspace. For example, we had one of the Denver TRACON guys in our meeting in Denver, and that's been sort of helping folks to understand, okay, here's how the FAA views this, but let's make sure that we've got a feedback loop for them so that we can all keep learning from each other.